Well, hello there, my friend. Jonathan Doyle with you. Welcome to the Almost Daily Podcast. I'm pleased you are here. If you like what you hear today, hit that subscribe button. You can also find me on Instagram at Jonathan Doyle Speaks. Oh, no, it's not Jonathan Doyle Speaks. It's J Doyle Speaks. It's even simpler. J Doyle Speaks at Instagram. You can find me there. Everything else is on the website, jonathandoyle.co. I have got something for you today that I hope is going to be really useful. Did you get a chance to listen to the last episode I did just a couple of days ago? Talked about self-sabotage. It is such a fascinating topic. I think it's the topic. I think it explains so much of what's going on for so many of us. So if you haven't heard that, go check out that latest episode on self-sabotage. Listen, today I want to remind you of something that you may have stopped paying attention to, and it's quite helpful. I want to remind you of the relentlessness of life itself. You see, once you decide that you want to grow and that you want to develop and that you want to achieve, experience, contribute more in this world, what you're going to discover over time is that life never backs off. It never really gets easier. You'll have windows, you'll have times where you are sitting by the metaphorical pool of life with a daiquiri in your hand, but those times are relatively rare. There's a relentlessness to the challenges of life, and if you don't understand that, you can find that you get disillusioned, you can get depressed, you can lead to despair because life just seems really hard. You go back to the Stoic philosophers, of course, Marcus Aurelius being probably one of the best known, this idea that life's difficult and what you can control is how you approach it, how you conceptualize it, and how you respond to it. But you've got to get to the first principle that it is inherently difficult and challenging in itself. One of the reasons I like running sort of ultra marathon distances is because I'm insane. Because the pain is relentless and it doesn't stop. And people are like, how do you run that? How do you run 50K, 60K more? How do you do it? Well, the question is, can you take one more step? I heard someone talking about this recently. Can you take just one more step? Who was a really famous ultra runner. And they're like, well, if you can take one more step, you almost always can. It's pretty rare that things are so bad that you literally physically can't put one step in front of the other. So one of the things about this kind of training and this running is that it just conditions your mind and your body to accept difficult, hard things over a long period of time. So I don't want today to be a disillusioning message. I just want to prepare you and remind you that if you are trying to make something of yourself, if you are trying to improve and develop as a person, life is going to keep punching back. It's just this side of heaven, it is always going to be challenging. Now, balance that, as I said, with seasons of growth, seasons of joy, seasons of blessing. I turned 50 last week. We're having a big party, I think, next week. It's going to be great. I'm going to see a whole bunch of great friends. We're going to have a really good time. It's going to be awesome. So there's these windows, there's these times of joy and enjoyment, but let's not forget that a lot of days it's just going to be grind, right? Come back to some of the great literature. Look at Lord of the Rings, of course. We find this difficult, challenging journey that the protagonists undertake, but then there's that break that they get 2 times, actually. They get a break in Rivendell, and then they get a break in Lothlorien. And it's a great sort of metaphor for there's a difficult, hazardous journey that they face with lots of, genuine threats and danger, but then they get these little windows of recovery. So my reminder for you today is that what would you do if it never got easier? What would you do if it was always going to be challenging? And I think for many people, it leads to despair. I think one of the reasons people struggle a lot with despair and possibly even depression is because they can experience life as relentlessly difficult. And there's a sense that it's never going to get better and it's always going to be like this. I get that. I understand it. But one way around that is to come to a place where you do accept that it's never going to get easier. That you go, right, it's hard, it's difficult. I think this is one of the reasons even Jordan Peterson's been quite successful, right? Because he's named this, he's called it out. He said, you know what, it's tough, it's hard to discipline yourself, to do hard things. There's pain, there's difficulty, there's suffering. But there's this kind of operative principle in the universe that if you go through the seasons of difficulty and hardship, there always seems to be rebirth and growth. Do you not see it in the structure of reality itself? If you look at, forest fires, we get tons of them here in Australia. We're coming into a hot summer again. You get these devastating fires. You get this sort of destruction, but what we would probably call creative destruction because, we had huge fires here a few years ago, not that long, like really insane. I remember riding my motorbike almost a year later, through where those fires had been, and it was like literally a moonscape. It had gone from being this vast forested area to this complete, it was like riding through a completely different world. And if I took the bike up there today, it's almost the same as it was before the fire. It's amazing how things regenerate. So you can see these seasons, right? These seasons of growth, destruction, fire, rebirth. So accept them. Accept that things are going to be difficult sometimes. Accept that life is not going to be easy this side of heaven. We are going home. We're on a journey towards heaven. But until then, it's going to be difficult. So I guess your choice is to collapse into resistance and despair, or to embrace the difficulty and say, right, this is hard. This is not what I wanted. This is not my preference, but I will endure and I will grow through it. All right. It's a simple shift in mindset to accept the world as it is, to accept reality as it is, and to make the very best of it that we possibly can on a daily basis. So be encouraged. This is an encouraging message for you. Whatever you're facing today, you might have parenting problems, relationship problems, marital problems, financial problems, business problems, health problems. Friends, there is no monopoly on problems. You know, one of the things I used to joke about with my father was that he would, you know, I'd say, I got a problem, and he was like, you got a problem? Let me tell you about my problems. He was always supersizing my problems. You know, no matter what problem you have, you could have worse, and people do have worse. You know, as many of you know, one of our kids received a life-changing diagnosis a few weeks ago. And I was talking to one of my brothers yesterday, and I said, well, the symptoms, you know, we assumed that it was very likely that we were dealing with a serious cancer diagnosis. And turns out it wasn't cancer. It's definitely a lifelong condition that we're dealing with. But, you know, we're dealing with this as a family, and it's serious. It's a serious condition. But I think of all those families that are dealing with childhood cancer. So whatever problems you got, I know they're difficult and they're hard, but we also got to have gratitude that our problems haven't overwhelmed us. And we have to have awareness that there's people out there with vastly more challenging, difficult, painful problems. So we have to take up our cross. We have to bear our own burdens. We have to do the work. We have to do the work of carrying our own burdens through this life, not letting them destroy us, letting them help us grow and develop into the people we were created to be. So be thankful for your problems. Be thankful that life's hard, because this is a sharpening process. It is making you stronger, better, faster, bigger, more, if you will step into the furnace. Get after it, my friends. My name is Jonathan Doyle. Everything is on the website, jonathandoyle.co.co. God bless you, my friend. You and I are going to talk again very soon.